Let us now continue in the Adhikara of Samana Adhikaranena, which we know starts from 2149 and goes to the end of this first quarter of the second chapter of the Ashtadhyayi. This Adhikara is within the Adhikara of Tatpurushaha, which of course runs from 2122 down to 2222. The compounds prescribed in this section Samana Adhikaranena get the designation Karmadharayaha by the Sutram 1242 Tatpurushaha Samana Adhikaranaha Karmadharayaha. We recently studied the Sutram 2158 Purva Para Prathama Charama Jaghanya Samana Madhya Madhyama Virashcha. We have also studied the Sutram 2157, 2156, 2155. Let us now take the Sutram 2160. Ktena Nai Vishishtena Nanya. For the Cheda is Ktena Nai Vishishtena Adanya. The Vritti says, Nai Vishishtena Ktantena Nai Ktantam Va Samasyate Sacha Tatpurushaha. So, Nai Vishishtena Ktantena Adanya Ktantam Va Samasyate Sacha Tatpurushaha. And the Tattvabodhini commentary clarifies, Nai Matradhikena Nai Rahitam Samasyata Iti sutrarthaha. So a subantam padam composed by adding a supaffix to a pradipadikam ending in the affix kta optionally compounds with a subantam padam which refers to the same item samanadhikaranena and is identical to the prior padam. The only difference being that while the latter padam has the additional negation particle nyai, sutram here is 226 nyai, the prior padam does not, and the resulting compound is a tatpurushaha. The reason we say the compounding is optional because we are in the adhikara of vibhasha, which as we know starts from 2111. Now what is this particle nyai? It is a avyayam which is used to form negation compounds, meaning not that. For example, panditaha is a scholar. If we negate that, we get na panditaha. And if we form a nyai tatpurushaha compound, we get apanditaha, meaning one who's not a scholar. The ending letter ñ of this avyayam nyai is a it letter by 133, halantyam takes lopaha by 139, tasya lopaha, and the beginning letter na also takes lopaha in general by the sutram 6373 na lopo nanyaha. That's how we get the forms like arogi, one who's not sick, apanditaha, one who is not wise, and so on. We will be studying this sutram nyai and also the related rules very shortly. For time being, we can just note that this particle nyai is used to form negation compounds, meaning not that, not sick, not wise, so on. The note here says that as per the Paribhasha Sutram 1172, yena vidhistadantasya, the term ktena used in this Sutram 2160, ktena nai vishishtena nai, is interpreted as ktantena. We know what 1172 says. It says that a qualifier by means of which an injunction is made stands for a term which ends in it as well as for itself. So ktena stands for ktantena, a term which ends in the affix kta. Let's take an example to see how this sutram works. Kritancha kritam equals krita kritam. Kritancha akritam equals krita kritam. Something which is done and not done. Now how can the same thing be at the same time done and not done? Ekadeshantarasya karanat tadeva kritam. Ekadeshantarasya akaranat tat eva akritam. When something is done but a part of it is not done, then we say that the same thing is done and at the same time not done. Basically partially done. The alaukika vigraha is krita su prathama ekvachanam plus akrita su prathama ekvachanam. Compounding prescribed by the Sutram 2160. Because we do have a subantam padam akrita su, where the pradipadikam akrita ends in the affix kta and is qualified by having the negation particle nyai, which we already mentioned becomes a after we remove the it letter and we apply 6373 na lopo nyanyaha. This is what the vritti has mentioned as nyai vishishtena ktantena. Now, the Purvapadam of the compound is krita su, where the affix su is added to a Pratipadikam ending the affix kta, but there is no negation particle nyai present here. So this is what is meant as anaiktantam. It is identical to the Uttarapadam except the negation particle nyai is absent in the Purvapadam. That is the important point here, that the Purvapadam is identical to the Uttarapadam except that the Uttarapadam has the negation particle nyai, but the Purvapadam does not. This is what is explained as nyai matradhikena nyai rahitam samasyate. The remaining derivation is straightforward. As per the Sutram 1-43, Pratama nirdishtam samasa upasarjanam, the term krita su gets the resignation upasarjanam, because in the Sutram 2-160, which prescribes the compounding, the term anai ends in the nominative case, and hence as per 2-230 upasarjanam purvam, the term krita su is placed in the prior position in the compound. Now krita su akrita su gets the resignation Pratipadikam by 1-246. Kritya dhita samasascha, because we have formed a compound. And now we can apply 2-471 supo dhatu Pratipadikayoho to perform the look elision on the sup affixes su and su, which are inside the compound Pratipadikam. So we get krita, akrita. Then of course you apply akas savarne dirgha to get krita krita. Akas savarne dirgha of course is 61101. Now as per the Sutram 2-426, Paravalingan dvandva tat purushayoho, the compound Pratipadikam krita krita is neuter, since the latter member akrita of the compound is used in the neuter gender here. The compound is declined like vana shabdaha. This compound is of course an adjective. The masculine would be krita kritaha, prathama ekvachanam. Feminine would be krita krita. Note here says that nyai matra adhikena nyai rahitam samasyate iti sutrarthaha. This sutram applies when the only difference between the prior padam and the Uttarapadam is that while the latter, the Uttarapadam, has the additional negation particle nyai, the prior padam does not. Teneha na. Hence, this sutram does not apply in the following situation. Siddham cha bhuktan cha, something which is accomplished or performed but not enjoyed or eaten. Here both the Purvapadam as well as the Uttarapadam is formed from a Pratipadikam ending in the affix kta. The Uttarapadam does have the negation particle nyai, the Purvapadam does not. So all those conditions are satisfied, but there is an additional difference. The verbal root is different in the Uttarapadam from that of the Purvapadam. So therefore 2160 does not apply. 2160 only applies when the only difference between the Uttarapadam and the Purvapadam is that the Uttarapadam has the negation while the Purvapadam does not. Next note here says nudidadhikenapi iti vachyam. Should be noted that the addition of the augment nut or it does not debar the application of this sutra. Hence we may construct examples such as ashitam chanashitam equals ashitanashitam, eaten and uneaten, is partially eaten. Here the latter padam differs from the prior padam not only due to the addition of the negation particle nyai, but also the augment nut. Sutram which prescribes the augment nut is 6374, tasman nudachi. That Sutram 6374 says that following the particle nyai on which the elision of the letter na has been performed, if there is a Uttarapadam which begins with a vowel, then that Uttarapadam takes the augment nut. And of course we know as per Adyantau Takitau 1146, the augment nut joins at the beginning of the Uttarapadam because the augment nut has the letter ta as a it. In the present example, the Uttarapadam is anashita su. In the form anashita, we see that there is the negation particle nyai followed by ashita. After removing the ending it letter nya of nyai and after applying 6373 na lopo nanyaha to remove the letter na of nyai, we get a ashita. At this point 6374 applies to attach the augment nut at the beginning of ashita. So we now get a nut ashita equals anashita. So this uttarapadam anashita differs from the purvapadam ashita not only by the fact that it contains the negation particle nyai, but also by the fact that it contains the augment nut. Now does this debar the application of the sutram 2160? And the answer is no. That is what is clarified by this vartikam nu di dadhikena pi iti vachyam. The addition of the augment nut or it does not stop the application of this sutram 2160. In the example ashita nashitam, we had the augment nut in the uttarapadam. Let us now take an example with the augment it. The example is klishtam cha klishitam. Klishta klishitam. Tedious and non-tedious is partially tedious. Here the latter padam differs from the prior padam not only due to the addition of the negation particle nyai, but also by the addition of the optional augment it. The optional augment it in this situation is prescribed by the sutram 7250. Klishaha ktva nishthayoho. Following the verbal root klish, the affix ktva as well as the nishtha affix optionally takes the augment it. And of course you know by 1126 ktaktavatu nishtha, the affix kta as well as ktavatu has the designation nishtha. Here in the uttarapadam, the optional augment it has been used to give us a klishita. In the purvapadam, it has not been used. So we have klishta. They combine to give klishta klishitam. Now does this mean that 2160 cannot be used because of the additional difference of the augment it being present in the uttarapadam? The answer is no. The vartikam says nut it adhikena api. The addition of the augment nut or it does not debar the application of this sutram 2160. So the compound ashita nashitam as well as klishta klishitam can be constructed using this sutram 2160. Ktena nyai vishishtena nany.